Hello, and welcome to the Sworcery5 YouTube channel. I'm Sworcery5, and today we're doing another Fable The Lost Chapters challenge. Last time, I focused on the main story of Fable, so I'll try to talk more about the side quests this time. This challenge is stick only for melee. I'm also allowed to use my fists, which are technically worse than the stick. I expect the beginning of this challenge to be a lot of waiting for my mana to recharge. During the guild training sequence, we are required to use a sword twice. Once to attack Whisper, and once to attack Maze. There's an interesting thing with the Whisper fight. Once we get to blocking Whisper's attacks, we can switch back over to the stick. This means we can defeat Whisper in the melee challenge for a sword that we can sell. I had to do the graded melee twice. Not because the stick sucks, it's actually not bad this early in, but because Whisper's movement is randomized. The second time, we got a lot of unblocked hits in. Sword acquired. Money, my boy. Money. While in the guild training, we also do a graded archery challenge and a lightning challenge. The archery challenge gives us a crossbow, which I use for a little bit before remembering why I hate crossbows in this game. They take forever to reload, and enemies get free hits in, restarting the reload animation. Then we do the lightning challenge for a will potion and a resurrection file. Will potions are mana potions, and resurrection files revive you if your HP hits 0. We also do the optional bandit fight in the guild woods for extra experience. This playthrough, we're not sticking to the good path. We're going to choose the evil story options when we can. For now, I'm stuck waiting for my will energy to recharge, so I can spam lightning for will experience. Once we get slow time, I'll attempt the hob killing contest for the second time. The first time with just the stick and crossbow didn't go very well. We're here with slow time now. This might be the fight I remember to switch to the bow. The footage will show if that's the case or not. Anyway, we easily kill more hobs than Whisper, and get the renown and trophy. But the true experience along the way was will, skill, and general experience. Did you think I was going to say the friends we made along the way? Nah, Whisper's attitude may be a front to impress her brother Thunder, but she's still being an ass. Now that we have slow time, I'm going to be spamming it at every opportunity in order to build up will experience without having to zap everything in sight. We escort 2 traders to Oakvale. I don't think I mentioned this last time, but we killed this trader that just got attacked by a Valverine before we get his cutscene to join us. If he joins us, he'll turn into a Valverine later. Valverines are like werewolves, except once you turn into a Valverine, you're permanently a Valverine. I find it odd that this is the Valverine lore, considering the hero is attacked and bitten several times by Valverines and never becomes one. Now that we're through this quest and talking to Maze, let's go get the rest of the willpowers we're going to have for this challenge. Pretty early on, I realized that using the stick was not worth it at all, and swapped to shooting people while in slow time. To facilitate this, we grab multi-arrow. We also have heal to preserve healing items for the late game, and physical shield for Jack of Blades first phase later. We could have grabbed drain life instead of heal, but that would require an enemy, and I tend to use heal after clearing an area before going into the next area. Slow time and heal don't really need an explanation, they do what's on the box. Multi-arrow also does what's on the box, but to be more specific, it shoots out spectral arrows when you shoot your bow after you cast it. I think it has about 5 charges per cast. Physical shield blocks incoming attacks and drains the mana pool in exchange. While it's active, we can't regenerate mana naturally, so it's mostly useful for fights where we plan to use no other willpowers or are able to spam mana potions. Willpowers and mana pool expansion is going to take a lot of our general experience. This will stuff gets expensive. When we have experience to spend elsewhere though, what are we going to level up? Well, I'm glad you asked, hypothetical viewer. We're going to ignore Physique and Guile. Physique increases melee damage, and with just the stick or our fists allowed, it's pretty useless. Guile is used for being a stealthy rogue. You can break into buildings at night and steal things while people aren't looking. It's not really useful for a regular run, though it can increase your profit from shops. But if you want to RP as a hero that steals from the rich and gives to the poor in Snowpoint, remember to name your profile Sir Robin of Locksley. The next thing on our agenda is getting a strong early game bow. Before we go into Twinblade's camp to find the Blind Seeress, we need to lure someone out of the town to the Chapel of Scorn. Once we sacrifice them, we'll get Skorm's bow. After looking it up, it turns out that this henchman is the perfect person. We hired him and sprinted to the chapel because we were already on the correct day for the sacrifice at the correct time of day, around midnight. Then, we sacrificed him to Skorm after making sure he had full health. Only one soul for a badass bow? Awesome! Next was the twin blade fight. I wasn't sure if we could use a bow on his back. I've only ever used a melee weapon against him. It worked, but I also forgot to use multi-arrow, so it took a few extra times. Afterwards, we have the option to spare him, but we finished him off instead. It actually went pretty quick because we picked up Skorm's bow. I really like this playstyle. I get to use slow time, so enemies don't get too close and just blast them with arrows. Really reduces the need for healing items if the enemies can't even hit you. Now that we've defeated Twin Blades, we've entered the mid-game, but we already have full plate mail due to a trading exploit in Oakvale. The best item for this exploit is emeralds. You buy all the shopkeep's emeralds in one go, and immediately sell them back for profit. It also works with other items, but the emerald has the highest profit margin. I would feel bad about this merchant's short-term memory loss, but being fully decked out in plate mail is a must. We're going to focus less on the main story quests for a moment, and mention Darkwood Disturbance, a silver quest. Silver quests are quests given out by the Heroes Guild that don't advance the main quest line. In this quest, you fight minions attempting to summon a summoner, a type of enemy we will fight in the expansion quests. This quest is not normally something that needs to be mentioned. The minions are easily defeated, and the quest is actually on a timer. However, as you can see in the clip I'm talking over, if you use slow time, the minions respawn at a similar rate as they do when slow time isn't up. Since I can't use my sword, the easiest way for me to take out the minions is to use Skorm's bow. The timer is slowly counting because slow time is active. As a result, we get a large amount of general experience. After this quest, we return to the Heroes Guild and level up, and find we can level up everything we've been using to max, and get levels in the spell that will be very useful in the future. In fact, we're going to skip past all the other quests and go straight to return to Hook Coast. The previous mission, we tried to enter an area in Hook Coast, but found it blocked by a magic barrier. This time, we return and the Guildmaster says a few words to bring down the barrier. This is where we fight Maze. A fight we usually just smack him with the sword to win. Well, we can't exactly do that this time. Lightning does almost nothing to Maze. Summon Creature doesn't even target him for some reason. I did have an idea for the next challenge to be Summon Creature, but now I know we can't even finish the game. I tried to attack with Skorm's bow, but like in the guild training, he blocks every shot unless you're a pretty decent distance away. Later in the fight, that works, but here, you can't get far enough away from him and still be able to hit him. I finally settled on the spell that I mentioned before that we only leveled up because of Darkwood Disturbance. Infernal Wrath. Infernal Wrath and its counterpart Divine Fury are spells that were added in the last chapter's expansion. But because these spells are level 1, it only did 10 damage per damage tick. This late in the game, it took a very long time to get Maze down to the point where he would teleport away. He also routinely casts a modified version of Physical Shield that lasts for a set time, blocking multiple damage ticks. When we finally get him to teleport, Skorm's bow immediately causes him to teleport again, into the lighthouse, where we have to spam Infernal Wrath yet again until he teleports and we snipe him down. Hey, what do you know, we actually had a challenging fight. We lost a few resurrection files before I figured out what to use, and again when Maze just drained our health to nothing with his lightning spell. We go from this to the fight with Jack of Blades. In the confines of this challenge, the Jack of Blades fight is actually really easy. He goes down quick. I mentioned at the beginning of the script that I was leaning towards choosing the evil options in the main story. Well, in order to use the Sword of Aeons, we're supposed to melee our sister with the Sword of Aeons. Unfortunately, hitting Teresa with the Sword of Aeons would invalidate the challenge run, since the only melee weapons we're supposed to use are the stick and our fists. So we can't actually claim the Sword of Aeons. We smack her a few times with the stick to get her morality to fall down, and then toss the sword into the abyss. Next, we need to free the Fireheart and take it to Hook Coast. This time, we choose the evil path and release the Fireheart by turning all the symbols into moons, sacrificing all of the profits. The next big change in this challenge from the last one will be which souls we collect to open the door to Jack of Blades. So we'll skip forward to that quest now. First up, the Arena Soul. Thunder, brother of Whisper, your bloodline ends here! As we fight Thunder, I recall the fight over marrying Lady Grey. I fought Thunder a few times as I've chosen that path on the Xbox version of the original Fable. This time was slightly different tactics-wise, but went pretty well. His only weak point short of flourishes is hitting him in the back. The best time to do this is when he's charging up his lightning strike. The fight goes pretty fast. Next, we choose to fight Briar Rose instead of using our Mother's Soul. You know what? I've never actually fought Briar before. I've always gone and taken my Mother's Willing Soul. Briar sets up illusions, and after hitting a few of them, she reveals herself. Using Scorm's bow and Infernal Wrath, we get her to low health, then finish her off with the stick to assert dominance. Finally, the Guildmaster. Oh yeah, I would have remembered this fight if I'd done it before. You have to kill all the guards with him. Then he spouts off some nonsense about having powers we could never imagine, and we kick him down and stab him in the back with our equipped melee weapon, which just so happens to be the stick. Well, a stick getting shoved through your spine and internal organs will definitely cause severe trauma. With all 3 souls, we go and confront Jack in his dragon form. The fight goes slightly faster than last time. I don't have to worry about our health potion count because we have food, and if the food were to run out, we would have several mana potions and heal life. The dragon is destroyed, and because we're choosing the evil options, we don't throw away the mask and become the new vessel for Jack of Blades. Oh, we're just the vessel? Well, at least we're a vessel for pure evil! Okay, a few thoughts about this challenge. There were places that things went easier than I thought they would go because of Scorm's bow, which can infinitely charge, and slow time made things also go pretty easy. Then we had the mace fight, where I had to try everything at my disposal to just get past the first phase. That was the first time in a long time that this game has felt challenging for me. But what about the next challenge? Well, it was going to be how far can I get using only the summon creature spell, but I realized that the run would die at the Kraken. Earlier I mentioned something about the mace fight, but the Kraken requires ranged attacks, and none of the summons can even use a ranged attack. Maybe my next challenge video won't be in Fable the Lost Chapters. I'm sure I'll think of something though. Until next time, this was Sorcery 5. Have a nice rest of your day.